This is the full story of the Vault-Tec rep who sold you your vault space in Vault 111. To better understand the man, we need to better understand where we find him, which is the Hotel Rexford in Goodneighbor. Before the war, the Hotel Rexford was a beautiful, multi-story, elegant hotel where the rich and famous would stay. But after the war, the hotel has crumbled to only 2 floors, and it is run by an entirely different set of characters. Upon entry, we can hear a conversation between Claire and Fred Allen.
Fred, are you going to hang out in the lobby all day again, or are you actually going to go down and do some work?
Being available to the customers is work. It's not all about cooking chems, Claire.
It's not all about sampling those chems either. Maybe if you stopped using, you could focus.
What? Where's the fun in cooking it if you ain't using it?
My mistake.
Come on. I'm the only reason people come to this hotel anymore. Give me a little smile at least.
People come to see you because they're chem addicts and bottom feeders. This place was a palace once. Now it just has you. Think about that.
Fred is the local chem merchant, and he's a user himself. A laid-back sort of fellow. He's an interesting guy to talk to.
Oh man, someone new. You need some Jet, man? Homebrewed, reasonable prices?
What's Jet?
You don't know? It's the best. It just hypercharges everything. Like you got the speed of 10 men in one inhaler.
What other kinds of chems do you have?
Well, you got your medicinal shit, Rad-X and Rad-Away for radiation sickness. Hey, do you think that's why they call it Rad-X? That's far out. Mentats are for the sciencey types, you know, eggheads looking for a boost to solve big problems. Buff-outs for the muscle men. Just try it all is what I say.
He gives you a quest to head over to the hallucinogen building to retrieve some hallucinogen canisters. I covered that quest in a different video on the hallucinogen building, which you can watch here. He manufactures chems himself, and his chem lab is in the basement. We'll take a look at that in a minute. We also meet a man named Rufus. He's the local jack of all trades, a mechanic who has scrap and other miscellaneous items for sale.
Name's Rufus. I do repairs around here. Keep the robots running, sell a bit of scrap, that sort of thing.
I'm usually here or drinking that swill Charlie slinging at the third rail.
He gives you a quest to retrieve the Drinkin' Buddy brewing robot from the Shamrock Tap House. I covered that in yesterday's video, and if you missed it, you can watch it here. But let's get to know Claire a little better. Maybe she can tell us more about the Hotel Rexford.
Before you even start, let's skip to the point. We have rooms, 1 room specifically. Payment due up front.
Can you tell me a bit about this hotel?
Oh, why do they always have questions? The Hotel Rexford used to be a grand establishment. We even had guests that didn't throw up all over the floor. But now the only people who come by are looking for somewhere to nurse a hangover or shoot up chems.
Who owns this place?
Mr. Morawski. Oh, you should have seen him in his day. This place used to be flowing with high-end chems, beautiful clients, and oh, the parties. But now he just stews in the back office and disgraces his parents' memory. I swear, if they knew how far he's fallen, they'd die all over again. So why don't you rent a room before I get worked up?
Tell me more about this Morawski character.
Oh, why bother? He's worthless. The other big names caught him with his pants down, and now he just has this ratty hotel. That's the way Goodneighbor operates. The strong make it to the top until someone stronger kicks them down.
Tell me a bit about yourself, Claire.
I have been working in this hotel for over 40 years, and this is not how I imagined spending my retirement. Now, are you done being nosy, or are you getting a room?
Deal.
The room is on the top floor. When you come to the hallway, it's the last one on the right.
Behind her is a terminal with the hotel registry. It's easy to access it while hidden, just crouch down behind her. Here we find a list of all of the residents of this hotel. Fred Allen, the chem merchant that we met, is here because a man named Morawski wants him here. Claire's just glad that Fred mainly keeps to the basement. She doesn't like the idea of such a man tainting one of her exquisite rooms for let. Stan Slavin is one of Murawski's bodyguards, and Claire actually likes him. He's a dependable guy that just gets the job done. Claire mentions that a ghoul from Vault-Tec is here. She doesn't have any details on him. We'll meet him later. Magnolia is a frequent guest. Claire says that Magnolia comes here because she likes the room's acoustics. She doesn't know what that means, but you and we know what that means. Rufus, the junk vendor, he stays here for free as long as he works as the hotel's resident handyman, fixing toilets and electrics, that sort of thing. The only other person here besides Murawski is a nameless janitor. We see her sweeping up out front, and she doesn't really have anything to say.
I just clean up around here.
Claire thinks that this janitor steals from Fred's stash of chems. In the room behind the front desk, we find Murawski and Stan. Stan makes sure that you understand your place. He doesn't want you bothering his boss.
Boss Murawski don't like to be disturbed. Be quick. Keep things cool. And we won't have to tussle, got it? Don't do anything I gotta make you regret. Hotel ain't what it used to be. But don't go shooting it up. You wanna be on your way, Ace?
Murawski is busy with paperwork. He doesn't have time to talk either.
Look, I know it's an open door, but it's like a philosophically open door, okay? Get the hell out. You want a room? Claire runs the desk. Give her something to do besides breathing down my neck. What, you got an itch or something? Talk to my associate, Fred Allen. Our selection ain't what it used to be, but the boy makes a decent chem. I know I'm not exactly the most feared man and good neighbor nowadays, but would you just leave? Trying to work here.
Now, Murawski is involved in the Diamond City quest called Diamond City Blues. Depending on how you end that quest, he can send goons after you to murder you if he learns that you stole his chem stash. But if he doesn't know that, then he really has no other interaction with you for the rest of the game. There's a small bar immediately to the right upon entry. This is where Drinkin' Buddy hangs out once you retrieve him from the Shamrock Tap House. The only thing of interest here is a magazine on the desk, Live and Love, an experience to remember. Permanently gain 5% experience while adventuring with a companion. A good one to get early in your playthrough. To the right are the men's and women's restrooms with absolutely nothing here, nothing in the stalls or on the sinks. Through a door against the western wall, we find a stairway leading down to Fred's chem lab. He has a chemistry station set out, a big box of chems. This is where the man stays hard at work. We find a terminal in the back here. You can unlock it. It's a novice lock, or you can find a password, which Fred has conspicuously hidden behind the stairs. In it, we learn that Fred loves his job. His motto is, when in doubt, do it all. He wants to make sure he produces a good product for his customers. That's why he's gonna try everything. He says, chemistry is like science, you know? So we're gonna log every hit I take. He then lists his experiences taking a variety of different chems. Jet makes him feel like he's flying, baby. Mentats makes him feel like the smartest man in the room. He finds himself using words like loquacious, even though he doesn't really know what that means. Buff out makes him stronger. He did 3 different experiments. He punched through 1 board, oh yeah, that was easy. He punched through 10 boards. He says, I'm invincible. This is like some comic book level strength. But then he tried punching through steel boards. He's typing with his left hand. He's gonna have to find some stim packs. Buff out is amazing, but it doesn't make you Superman. Psycho made him crazy. He destroyed this terminal after taking some, and Rufus had to rebuild it. Even now while typing, he says, I just started punching the keys, man. Punching them. Punching and punching. I think I need to lie down. Good old Fred. If we head up the stairs, we find an expert locked door on the small mezzanine. If you're hidden when you pick it, you won't get caught, and inside we find a large steamer trunk filled with all sorts of goodies. Next to it are 2 ammo crates. The second floor is just another mezzanine where people can sit down and relax. The third floor is where all the rooms are, and it's here where we meet the Vault-Tec rep.
What? No, it can't. It's you! From Sanctuary Hills, right?
Must have me mistaken for someone else.
You're not fooling me.
Yeah, I'm from Sanctuary.
What? You don't remember me? I sold you that space in the vault.
Wait, Are you from Vault-Tec?
I am Vault-Tec. 20 years of loyal service, and now look at me. But then, I wasn't on the list to get in. But you, look at you. 200 years, and you're still perfect. How? How's that possible?
You don't know? They didn't tell you?
Tell me what? What is it? How did you get through these last 200 years untouched?
Your guess is as good as mine.
No, it's not right. It's not fair.
Well, you kill enough people. Sooner or later, something's bound to make you immortal.
Oh, that's rich. Real funny. Just like that robot of yours. After the bombs fell and I came to, that bucket of bolts was still there, trimming those damned edges like nothing happened.
You met Codsworth? What did he say?
Welcome to our happy home, sir. Can I get you a drink? Cheerio. Just like that, over and over again. He was the only one still alive that I could talk to. A year went by before I couldn't take it anymore.
Yep, I must have set Codsworth's blind optimism levels to stunningly.
Strangely enough, if you have Codsworth in your party, and you tell him that you killed enough people, which is what made you immortal, the Vault-Tec rep doesn't mention meeting Codsworth.
Sooner or later, something's bound to make you immortal.
Oh, that's rich. Real funny. Well, I don't get to laugh at what happened. Look at me. I'm a ghoul, a freak.
So sadly, Codsworth doesn't have an opportunity to reply. You only get that dialogue about Codsworth if you talk to the rep without Codsworth in your party.
The Vault had these pods that froze us in place. I only thawed out recently.
What? Vault-Tec never told me that. Unbelievable. Well, I had to get to the future the hard way. Living through the filth, the decay, and the bloodshed. Look at me. I'm a ghoul. A freak.
You're a ghoul. What's a ghoul?
Radiation surplus, Smart. That's what a ghoul is. You think I'd be able to live this long on my own? The rats did this to me.
Are there any other ghouls out there? From before?
You mean Crazy Kent and Nothing Bothers Me Daisy? Yeah, there's a couple of us. But no one from the neighborhood. No one from Vault-Tec. They just left me there.
Remember when we originally met him, he's the one who sold us our space in the vault. When the alarm started to blare, we ran to the vault as fast as we could, and we found him outside the gate, trying to get in.
That's absurd! I am
Not on the list.
Vault-Tec!
You don't get in.
I'm going in! You can't stop me! Okay. I'm reporting this!
If you're in the program, step forward. Otherwise, return home.
Are they letting you in? And not
Are you
me?
registered?
Someone's gonna hear about this!
But he was turned away. He runs back down the path. If we follow him, we don't get far before the bombs drop. It may be that he had just made it to his Vault-Tec van when the bombs dropped, allowing him to survive the nuclear blast. Incidentally, this may be evidence that the sole survivor does not have genes necessary to turn into a ghoul. This blast killed us, but it did not kill the Vault-Tec rep.
Don't take this the wrong way, but you were pretty ugly before.
You know, you're the only other person I met from before. Oh God, I've been so alone here. No Commonwealth settlement, once a ghoul with 200 years of Vault-Tec sales experience.
Where else could you go?
Diamond City bigots don't allow ghouls inside. It's just here or back at Sanctuary, talking to that crazy robot of yours.
Now you have 3 options here, 2 of which have the same result. You can encourage him to stay either kindly or rudely.
Good Neighbor seems like an okay place. Just make the most of it.
You know, if you heard that same keep your chin up shit for 2 centuries, you might feel a bit different. Just leave me alone.
You're not my problem. Now get out of my way.
You know, I've been hearing that exact sentence from people for 2 centuries. Fine. I'm leaving.
Either way, he goes back to his room and mopes about.
Can't believe you made it into the vault. I was Vault-Tec. They just left me there to die. Can't believe you're still alive. Just my luck. Look at you. 2 centuries, and your skin's as smooth as a baby. You have no idea what it's been like scrounging around for 2 centuries with this ugly mug.
Alternatively, you can pass a yellow charisma check to send him back to Sanctuary.
Hey, you know you could head back to Sanctuary. I'll come visit. I promise.
Really? You will? Okay, I'll head over there right now. You promise you'll come visit, right? I'll see you there.
If you go back to Sanctuary, you can assign the Vault-Tec rep to a Tier 3 general goods trading shop. If you do, he has unique Tier 4 inventory, which of course makes sense because he's a salesman. It's only natural that after war he stays a salesman in one of your settlements. On his inventory is the unique item, the Apocalypse Left Greave, which grants increasing energy and damage resistance the lower your health is. This is the only way to get that unique item. The Vault-Tec rep is another man in your settlement, grinning from ear to ear.
You know what? Since we talked, I'm feeling swell. Look at the 2 of us here in Sanctuary, prepared for the future. They didn't tell me much, Vault-Tec, just to make sure everyone filled out their forms. I was supposed to win a pack of steak knives. You know, things are looking up. I can feel it this time.
This is the option I chose in my playthrough. I felt sorry for the Vault-Tec rep. I don't think he knew what Vault-Tec was doing, evidenced by the fact that they left him behind. I don't think he knew about the cryogenic pods, or that they were experimenting on you. So I just feel sorry for the poor man. Being alone all those years, I like to think of him as a central figure in my Sanctuary settlement, where he's made a bunch of new friends. He's probably a charming man to talk to, with that slick salesman personality deep inside, with wonderful stories from before the bombs dropped, and if Hancock is anything to go by, a charming, charismatic ghoul can still attract the ladies. You stay classy, Vault-Tec rep, and keep on smiling. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the full story of the Vault-Tec rep and the Hotel Rexford in Fallout 4. What choices did you make concerning the Vault-Tec rep in your game? Let me know in the comments below. I read all of my comments and I use your comments as inspiration for future videos. I'm doing a big series on Good Neighbor right now, and I publish a new video 6 days a week. So if you don't want to miss my next video, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell button. And for those of you interested, I have a t-shirt shop where I have completely unique and custom designs that are both Oxhorn and Fallout 4 themed. You can find a link to my shop in the description below. And if you like what I do and you want to support me in a more personal way, consider becoming one of my patrons on Patreon. Patreon subscribers can access to a private channel on my Discord server, as well as a bunch of other cool Oxhorn perks. But more than anything, ladies and gents, I'm so glad you're here watching this video today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow morning bright and early with a brand new video.